Yo, I'm the casual guy. Fantasy football's my game. Sending lineups like a pro. Winning money is my claim. Drive kings all day, value players in the mix. Find the hidden gems, that's how I get my kicks. Daily fan to my kicks. Daily fan to my kicks. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory.
All right. Well, it appears we had some technical difficulties. I'm glad I ran for 45 minutes on that for no fruits of our labor. Darn. These things happen. Sorry about that. Shout out to my boy Dev for letting me know. Unfortunately, I saw it a little too late. So bummer. But yeah. Dang. That is not great. Okay. Anyway, we're moving forward. Let's go ahead and check out. So if you, for whatever reason, watched 45 minutes of scrambled noise with me talking to a microphone that you couldn't hear, this is kind of the lineup that I drafted. This is a Sunday only lineup. Not my favorite game to play. I do prefer to play those Thursday through Monday games. So I can have, the most options available to me. And I can get the best value out of this. So yes, I am doing a DFS podcast. And if you're not familiar with what DFS is, we are so back, Dev. If you're not familiar with DFS, I do live in the great state of Texas, I should say, the greatest country in the world. And we don't allow sports betting lines here. So you got to get a little bit creative. And what they do allow is daily fantasy lineups. So a lot of times I do go through DraftKings for these daily fantasy lineups. And I throw a lot of like $3 lineups, $5 lineups, things like that. I like to go cheap on my buy-ins with these things and just throw a lot out there and see what sticks. And if you start to enter contests with like 10K plus entrants, your payout's going to be a little bit higher, especially if you have one of those top lineups. That being said, like the more people you have in there, the greater your chances are that you suck. And when you start to play some of the more expensive games as well, the chances are that you suck compared to them. And once again, this is called the Casual Guy Cast. I am not a professional by any means. It's just something I enjoy and I like talking about things. So that's kind of the wrap there. Going through this lineup, it's hard for me to go back and rework the thought process here, but originally I started with like Cam Akers and Adam Jones. I do like Greg Dortch at wide receiver with the Cardinals tight end being probably out this week. I do think that Washington Arizona game is going to be sort of a high scoring matchup. I could be totally wrong, but I think that might be Kyler Murray's best option would be Greg Dortch, and I like the price that he's at. Alan Lazard, I think he's proven that he has Aaron Rodgers' trust in this Jets offense. And, when you look at a team like Denver, who does have the number one passing defense, Patrick Surtain is going to be shadowing Garrett Wilson that game. So I think it opens up some lanes for Lazard to get some looks. And if nothing's going right with Garrett Wilson, please believe Aaron Rodgers is going to start looking towards him and maybe even a Brees Hall. The Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley stack with Dallas Goddard. Obviously, Saquon can catch out of the backfield, and you've got AJ Brown and crap, their other wide receiver. I'm spacing on his name right now, but he's going to be out as well. Then, originally when I was building this lineup, I had about 8,900 left to spare on a tight end or on a flex position, and there's no players that are above $8,000. I think Jalen or Saquon sort of tops out at that $8,000 mark for me. And typically I don't like to spend that much money on a player, but I wanted to diversify the lineups that I've already got in play, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. And I my favorite defense this week is probably the Houston Texans at their price point at $3,000. I spent up a little bit because Pittsburgh has a great defense and they're playing a team that I don't think is going to do too well against them. So I went with that. $0 left to spend there. But that was sort of this is my, I had to mix it up a little bit. I needed to get some new blood in my lineups. Now let's go to the lineups that I do have. And there's the fourth one. All right. So we'll run through these three lineups that I have going. You're going to see a lot of similar players, and then I sort of mix in some different things. I've got the Texans D on all three of these lineups. All right. I like the price point. I like the matchup, especially against a Jacksonville team that just sucks right now. So I like that play a lot, and it was hard for me to even want to go to Steelers because saving that $300, I could find a way to spend up on another I guess scoring position. You don't really count on your defense to win you these things. It's more of like a floor play. But that being said, all three of the lineups here that you're looking at are all Thursday through Sunday. So you got about, gosh, uh, 15 minutes, 14 minutes if you want to make a play on these. So I'll try and go quick here. I got the Texans across the board here. I've also got Cole Kmet across the board. I think with Caleb Williams, he still is trying to get his groove back a little bit. And how do most quarterbacks do that? They go to the running back, they go to the tight end, they go to a trusted wide receiver. And I'm not sure that the Bears have a trusted wide receiver. I know Roma Dunze had a great game last week, but prior to that, they didn't really have a great connection. That being said, I think Rome's also questionable this week. I'm sure he's fine, but don't quote me on that. And he could totally be a factor, but the Bears need to win a game. And so I think Cole Kmet's going to be sort of that safety net for the Bears, and more specifically Caleb Williams. Juwan Jennings for the price point at 5,800. Yes, he is up from the previous week, and deservedly so. His price point did jump a little bit this week, but he was a great value last week, and he scored you almost 50 points. So if you played him, you were doing hopefully okay last week. So I've got Juwan Jennings in all three of these lineups. I don't love running three of the same players across the lineups, but I try to diversify them a little bit. Those just felt like too good of a pick to pass up for me at the price point because I can spend elsewhere. Um, Jaden Daniels, I mean, another great player at a price point. I think he's somewhere around 5,800. I love this guy. He's in all of my fantasy leagues. He was my backup on some teams. Uh, but I think he's sort of proving that he can get you a lot of points, whether he's throwing the ball or not. So I really love that play here. On this other lineup to the right, I went with CJ Stroud. I went up a little bit there. They're playing the Jags, and I wanted to sort of see if I could stack him a little bit with Nico Collins. Nico's questionable, but I think he'll end up being a go. And then I also, not necessarily stacked him with Cam Akers. Um, I guess you could call it a stack. I don't think Cam's going to get a ton of uh, receptions this week, but um, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the Texans sort of uh, throw the ball, air it out quite a bit this week, and then I think you could see a Cam Akers sort of getting, a lot of rushing in the second half of the game because there's nothing that gives me confidence that this is going to be a close game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think the Texans will go up early, and then you're going to see a lot of Cam Akers late in the game. You might even see him earlier in the game. Shoot, here, how about this dude, Andre Yoshivas? Uh, here's my thing with the Bengals. Like, obviously, they're struggling. They're 0-3, but you haven't seen a really great connection this year with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And I think Yoshivas is sort of that next guy for Joe Burrow, and he might just be that guy for Joe Burrow right now. And so I like that play at the price point. How much does he cost? It's not going to tell me. Salary 4,100, 4,100 bucks, and Juwan Jennings at 5,600 this week. I think he was 48 or 45 somewhere in there last week. So still good values. If you're getting players who are under 6 grand, 5 grand, something like that, I think you got some good value there. So I like those plays. The Terry McLaurin, like, if you watched any bit of that Washington game this week, one, you saw Jaden Daniels going off. So I was like, how can I stack him with Terry McLaurin? I think sneaky pick on there too would be oh shoot, I didn't put him in there. I ended up switching him up, but Zach Ertz could also be a great stack with Jaden Daniels. I like that play a lot. So maybe I'll throw some Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz stack lineups out there later this week. So I like that play a lot, especially who are they playing again this week? Arizona, right? I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. And so, I think Jaden Daniels is once again going to get his. A big thing for me is like looking at the players' points per game, and it's not always true, but early in the season, it's likely true that they're averaging somewhere around here. I know, like a guy like Derrick Henry, he had a big game last week, so that might be a little bit backloaded. But Terry McLaurin, 11.6 points through 3 weeks isn't great, but he had a good game last week. Um, you look at like a dude like Chuba Hubbard, 14.6 points per game, and what is his price point? 5,700 bucks. Um, so I like him a lot. I got Brees Hall. He is what he is, man. I mean, the dude is not cheap. I think he's 7,800. Yes, he is. So he's not cheap, but playing against a Denver team, I don't think Denver's terrible, but I think with Patrick Surtain shadowing Garrett Wilson, uh, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to go to Brees Hall. He's going to have to go to um, maybe an Alan Lazard as well. So I like those plays. When I drafted CJ Stroud, I'm like, okay, how can I stack him? And I think Nico Collins, like he's still averaging 21.3 points per game so far, but I don't think we've had that Nico Collins game yet. And I think you might see it against the Jacksonville D. He is questionable, something to keep your eye on, but I think he would probably be a go next week. Same with Cam Akers, right? Like both the Texans running backs are out, and Cam got like 9, 10 points, something like that. But at a price point of 5,300, anything lower than him, I don't really. It doesn't light my fire, I guess. So I like that play. I think it's more of a floor than a ceiling play right there. Um, and here's the one I think I slept on a little bit too much is the Najee Harris pick, right? Like they're gonna have Cordarrelle Patterson in the backfield with Jalen Warren out this week, but at $5,600, like, look, Najee burned me in one of my fantasy leagues a couple of years ago, and I swore I'd never forgive him. And I still, every time I see his name and I go to draft him in these DFS lineups, I like cringe a little bit, but here he is. I think he is going to be a good play this week. And it, what, 5,600 or whatever it was. Yeah, I think he'll be a good play. They are not playing at home, but I don't feel super confident in the Colts this week. This does maybe, you know, do the Steelers win this game? I'm not sure. I think it could go either way, but the Steelers have been playing really well so far this year, and they got one of the best coaches in the game. So I'm going to trust that. Uh, I'll tell you the one pick that I do hate on these lineups right here is the Travis Kelsey pick. I just don't know what else to do with that. I love the David Montgomery pick. For 6,400. He's not super cheap, but that's a value when you look at a dude like Saquon who's at 8 grand. Like, is he going to get Saquon numbers? No, but there's a very good chance he's going to get you 15 points. And it's pretty wild that Detroit can support two probably top 20 running backs. You got Chuba Hubbard in here on this lineup as well. And he had a good game last week. He's averaging 14.6 so far this season. Once again, at a price point under 6 grand for a good running back, like, he's good. He's not great, but I think he went off last week, and they are playing Cincinnati, so it doesn't terrify me. And I'm truth be told, like I'm in love with this Texans offense, and I don't think they've shown totally what they haven't fired on all cylinders, right? Like they had that big Joe Mixon game. Stephon Diggs had a big game that time. I think Nico Collins gets his, but he hasn't had that like super blowout game yet. And I love Tank Dell, but the dude has not shown up yet really this season. So, and Tank Dell's questionable as well. So I think Stephon Diggs, I think he will probably find the end zone this week. So I like him there. Aaron Jones, like the dude is what he is, man. He's a baller. They're playing in Green Bay. He's got a little bit of an axe to grind there. So 6,400, that's not too bad for me. I think, he's averaging almost 20 points a game. I think he will give it an extra effort this week. And then I got to fill my flex spot here with Bijan Robinson, and I think that's going to be a tough game with the Falcons and the Saints. It's in Atlanta, and I don't know. Like I think maybe he's not. It's hard to say, but I think he's he's going to get you another, 15 points. He was kind of a dud last week. But I think 15 points is pretty fair for him. What else? I think I kind of ran through all that stuff. So I'm a little bit shorter winded. Obviously, I just ran 45 minutes of garbage. So I'm trying to bust through this. But yeah, this is kind of the lineup I picked on the episode before I deleted it. I I don't love it for whatever reason. I still don't love the Kyle Pitts thing, but kind of trying to maximize my budget there. Could I throw Goddard or could I throw Pitts into the tight end? I don't know. I don't really want to. He's at 5,100 and Pitts as at 4,800. It feels way more worth it for me to play both of them. I think Goddard's going to get a lot of targets this week. So yeah, Chris Olave, he kind of started off slow this season, but last game I thought he was great. He had 20.6 points, 1 touchdown, 6 receptions, 6 targets. In home games, he's 8 for 8 on targets. In away games, he's 4 for 6. So he's catching the ball, unlike a Rashid Shaheed, who has a lot of targets, but not a lot of receptions compared to Olave. And I think he's starting to turn it on. So this is what I've got going so far. Let's view exposure. That's not true. I don't. Games. Oh, there we go. What the heck? Why does it say that? It's not 100%. Oh well, doesn't matter. Total for DJ Moore. I don't know how I feel about DJ Moore. He should be good, but I don't think he's been doing so great this week or this season so far. I just don't trust Caleb Williams yet. I would lean way more into Cole Kmet than I would with DJ Moore. I'm sorry, I forgot to screen share all my DraftKings picks. Total for Arizona Washington is 50.5. That is pretty high. And I I think if I were betting that, I'd probably go under, but they could very possibly go over as well. So let's do this. Let me screen share here. Wait. Okay, I gotta kill the chat. And then that. The hell? All right, sorry. There we go. Okay, cool. We are so back. Say it again, Dev. We are so back, dude. I'm gonna kill that. What in the hell? Okay. I don't know what the hell is going on with all this. I think it's being a little bit funky. RIP chat. Yeah, sorry, bud. There we go. We are so back. Cool. Well, you know what? We got negative 2 minutes until game time. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night with this one. If you dug this, I'm gonna try and run these every week too. It's something I enjoy doing, and that's sort of the method to the madness is that I will do what I want on this channel, and if you like it, then you tune in, and if you don't, then don't tune in, and that's cool too. But hope you liked it. A little something different from wrestling, but stay tuned tomorrow. Check out the King's Court with Ryan and Sacktown on the If You Don't Like That YouTube channel, the network there. I do my usual Friday drop with Ryan. We'll talk some WWE. I'll be live in OKC for Friday Night SmackDown out there. And I will be ringside tomorrow. So if you're watching that, keep an eye peeled for me. I'll be in the left corner of the ring from the TV view. So stay tuned for that. It will be awesome. Thank you all for coming and joining today. And I will see you tomorrow on the King's Court, and we'll probably catch up this weekend on some Friday Night SmackDown and whatnot. So for now, we'll see you later. Peace.
Yo, I'm the casual guy. Fantasy football's my game. Sending lineups like a pro. Winning money is my claim. Drive kings all day, value players in the mix. Find the hidden gems, that's how I get my kicks. Daily fan, get my kicks. Daily fan to my kicks. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy.